shadows, they follow you like the compass. Lost all of your dreams, the night is heartless.
How's it everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we again by SAW Fabrications and Automotive works. Hi Shaun.
Hello.
We've got some one Musa beast standing here. I don't know if you guys can see at the back. That is a Mazda RX7, old spec Mazda RX7. But this thing has a, yes, I actually want to say this turbo is actually fucking bigger than what my head is. Two of my heads together. But you can see here, look at this thing. It's a massive fucking thing. Huh? Oh, my hand. This is the, I've got Musa hands and look here. So yeah, I don't know, this, it looks like this guy is gonna go to the moon with this power of this car. I know Shaun mentioned something about his best time.
Ek dink Brian het gesê dit was 9.3 of 9.1, een van die twee.
9.1 or 9.3 is his best time.
Met klein tyres op.
With small tires. So the car came into Shaun for some extra fabrication and modifications that he has to do on the car. Apart from the turbo that he had to install.
Yeah, what happened was the car originally came for pedal box and the charge cooler relocation and boost pipes that had to be made up, and then yeah, it ended up me changing the turbo because there was an issue with the turbo, and then Brian decided to just upgrade it. The car wasn't built by me originally, the car was built by between them and Siraj from Performance Solutions, and it was tuned by Siraj from Performance Solutions. Yeah, like I said, car just came for upgrades and then or some changes, and then yeah, they decided to upgrade the turbo as well. So then from there it just went and some changes were made, extra changes were made. And yeah, the car's going directly from here, the car's going back to Siraj for some tuning, and then hopefully we'll see some good power.
What's the current power on the car?
I think Brian said it was 1000 horsepower, which was like 740 something kilowatts. I can't remember what he said, what the newtons was. I'm speaking under correction, that's what I heard. Like I say, the car wasn't built by me, but yeah, I'm glad to be a part of this build now, as I was a little bit before, but it's more involved now than before.
So I don't know, this is a short, you would just have to walk with me through this quick. So Shaun, what did you do now? You did
the charge cooler. I moved the charge cooler from the front to inside the fender, as the radiator didn't get enough ventilation. Then, like I said, I remade the boost pipes. I fitted the turbo to the exhaust coming up the fender. As the exhaust went through the bottom of the car and it was touching the trailer, it was hooking on the trailer. So I remade the exhaust coming up the fender, and yeah,
to Jay-Z.
Yeah, I fully worked to Jay-Z.
Yeah, so you guys can see there's a lot of work in this car. It's running on a Haltech ECU.
Yeah, Haltech ECU, yeah.
So yeah,
Which was also fitted by Performance Solutions.
which was also fitted by Performance
Solutions, yeah,
Okay.
Sriracha.
Yeah, so we're gonna, like I've mentioned before, we're gonna catch updates from Shaun on cars that he work on. As you guys can see, some of the cars the man is working on is big powered cars, the fabrication work he does on it and various other works. But geez, just look at that turbo, man. I can't get over this. You need 2 people to carry this turbo. So sorry for all the bouncing up and down. I'm trying a new thing here with the camera mounted on a small stick, so I hope I don't have too much bumping around and stuff. But yeah, we'll catch some updates by Shaun as and when he has something, and when I have time, obviously, to get to him. You know, during the week it's a bit hectic, but yeah. Until next week's episode, I'll drop in a editing night video after this. For the guys that's interested in the photography, to learn a bit of color grading and stuff. So I'm obviously going to use Jason's TAS as example. So yeah, for you that want to stay for the editing nights, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on next week's video. Cheers. How's it, everyone? Welcome back to another editing night video. I know I haven't done one in a very long time. Excuse me if I'm looking to this side the whole time while I'm speaking, because the camera and stuff, I'm trying to get used to it still. I have my cell phone that I monitor the video on to see if everything is in focus. I haven't done an editing night video in a very long time. So yeah, I'm gonna take you guys through Jason's TAS. The photo shoot we did on that, 1 or 2 photos. So yeah, let's get on to it. I just want to make sure everything is right here. Okay, so I'm gonna try basically try to simulate this that I did, if I remember correctly. But anyways, let's get cracking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the photo. That is how it looked like in the beginning. So what we're going to really be looking at here is just to get a bit of, you know, not too much red. I'm going to bring that down a bit. The calibration is something I start off firstly whenever I start editing, because that gives me an idea of what type of editing I'm going to look at the end of the day. So my final, in this one, we shot in the rain, early morning hours, and you want to kind of have that misty effect to it. If you want to do something like that, a pro mist filter would obviously do a better job at it. It will blow out your highlights here, give it a more softer look. But unfortunately I don't have that, so I'll have to rely on my Lightroom and Photoshop skills for that. And then I'm also going to bring up my green primaries quite a bit here, around about 30, 29. Let's just make sure that's 30 on both there. Bring that back -10. So there's not really much of a difference, but you can see it starting to come to life now. That is very saturated. And then I'll bring my blue primary down also by 10, bump it up by 5 there. So not much of a difference you can see between the two here at the moment, but you can see this one's got more of an orange tone to it now. It's the actual color of what the car is. I shoot in RAW, so it'll give you the out of the camera. It doesn't give you the out of the camera vibes, but yeah, let's get starting with this. So essentially what I want to do is okay, before we start with that, maybe just heads up here that we just start with a mask. I do a linear gradient and I bounce it on there just to give it a bit of a misty effect. So I'll bring it down to around about there, and what I'll do is I'll do a dehaze and a clarity. I'll bring the clarity maybe up or down depending on how sharp I want that highlights to be blown up, but this one I'm going for more of a softer look. Slight increase there with the exposure. Okay, so that's our first one. Then the other one, I'll rather, to bring the attention to the car, I want to maybe create another mask, also linear gradient. I just might want to darken this at the bottom a bit more, so I'll bring that up to here just to soften up that black and bring the exposure down a bit. You'll see at a later stage how this starts sticking out. We can always fine tune it at a later stage. So let's start with this. Because it was dark in the morning, I'll bring the exposure slightly down and bring the contrast slightly up, maybe till 27. Don't want to bring too much highlights back because I want that misty effect in the background. We're going to play around with the misty effect a bit later, but for now we'll leave it at that. And the shadows, the blacks, we can always play with these settings around later stage, but what I usually do is I bring my texture and my clarity up by +2. If you want to soften the image, you can go that route here, and you'll see your misty effect becomes more apparent. But because of the type of shoot we did, we want to keep as much sharp detail as possible. As you know, when you shoot in RAW, your default settings and sharpness takes into account, so you have to do your sharpening in post. So what I usually do is I don't really go over 50 or 60, but let's try for 60 here. Just bring some more detail in, and then the radius, and then the masking. The masking is very important to see if what you want to sharpen. So I do not want to go too far. You'll see here on the sides of the car, I don't know if you guys can see, the masking brings out how much is sharpened and where. You don't want the entire car to be very sharp because it doesn't give you that soft look. So we're going to bring it up till around about 60. And then obviously you have to take your noise reduction into account. I shot at ISO 250, so even though it's still a low ISO and the camera is good with handling the noise, the moment you start editing, you're gonna see some noise blowout at the later stage. So let's go to the tone curves. I usually like to start with the S curve, slight S curve, or that is what they call it, but I would like to bring a bit of a more vintage look to it. Bring the contrast levels down there, lift that up, and just slightly we can play around with the curves at the later stage again. I'll do the same with the reds, the greens and the blues. Slight upbring there. You don't also want to bring it down too much because then you take away your RGBs too much. Then onto the greens. Sorry, I'm just going to set up the forward here. And then 1, 2, 3. Let's bring the yellow bit up here. There. You see, you'll see here it's slight adjustments. You can always, like I've said, you play around with it at the later stage, but from that to that you can already see a massive difference. There's a lot of green in the photos. I just want to do my white balance here quickly, just to bring it up a bit. Maybe the red, slight. Now you can see there's already starting, the picture is looking quite much differently than what it used to. And then we're gonna do the color grading now. So your HSL, your hue, saturation and luminance levels. The red I don't want too punchy, so I'm gonna play around here just to bring a bit more orange to it. The yellows we're gonna bring a bit to that side. So you'll see here, you don't want your rims to be green. the rims is a gold color, so maybe just a slight punch that way. The greens, we don't want the grass also to be too green, depending on what style you want to shoot. If you want the grass to be much greener, you're welcome to make it greener, but you can see it doesn't really fit in with the scene. So what we do is we bring that slightly down to that side to give it a bit more of an autumnish feel. Aquas you don't need to really play around much with, but it does make a slight difference, ever so slightly. And then there's not much blues in this picture besides by the windows. Purple and magentas I don't really touch a lot, because you can see here, if you do that with the magentas, it's not really any difference happening there, because this is usually, you know, your magentas is usually in your chromatic aberrations. Also there you can see there's no purple, so I don't really touch that. The red, you can decide if you want to give it a bit of a more of a punch. I'm giving it a bit of a more of a punch, so I'm gonna jump between my red, I'm gonna jump between my saturation and my luminance, because I want to brighten up the car a bit. And also, what I forgot to mention is profile corrections. You can do that, but it takes away a lot of the dramatic, how can I say, the scene of it. So what I'm going to do is, because of the vignetting that's going on in the corners, I'm going to enable the profile correction. I shot this on my 50mm f1.8, and then we're going to play around quickly here again, just to bring a bit more to a moody side. Also, you don't want to adjust too much, and then it's going to take away from the image. Okay, so I'm going to have to adjust this now again, because the car is looking way too orange again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the reds a bit back. Orange I'm going to be increasing a bit, so that you can see the rims detail is going away. So if you do not bring that color up, your rim is going to look very bland, so just bring it up a little bit. There's a bit of yellow also in the rims with the gold, so you can bring that up a bit. And in the grass, the green, slight punch. Aquas, like I've said, it's here in the screens. The your aquas and the blues are sitting right here. There we go. Like I've mentioned, I don't touch the purples and the magentas. I've brightened the car up previously, but obviously I didn't take the lens correction into account, so let's just bring that back again, just to darken that red a bit. Orange I'm going to slightly push up, because there is some orange tones in the paintwork. Sorry, my phone is going off here. And then the greens. Now you have two choices. You're either going to blow the greens a bit lighter, because remember we brought our yellows slightly down to orange. You can push it that way to make it all green, but that's not going to look right, like you can see in the rims. You can apply a mask to just obviously edit on this side of the field, but I'll rather keep it there. The greens, we can, you know, you want to have your focus on the car, so you don't want something bright on this side and then hey, the focus is here. So we're gonna slightly push that down, maybe this here also, the yellows, and then the aquas. Like I said, it's not really that much involved here, but we can bring it down slightly. The blues also a bit slightly, because here on the wind, if you can look there on the window, you see that's all sitting on your windows. And again, the purple and the magentas I don't touch at all. So further to the color grading that we're going to move into now is obviously your midtones, your shadows and your highlights. So because this was a moody morning and it was misty and it was raining and everything, you don't want your shadows to have a orange vibe to it. You might want to push in a bit of blue. You see how it changes there? You see that it goes slightly warmer to slightly colder. Highlights, I would want to have a bit of yellow in it, just to break the image apart. The sun was busy coming through the clouds here, so we're gonna touch on that now shortly. The midtones, I tend to go with what is the car's color. So just to fit it in a bit, we can always color balance again, but just to play around, this, like I said, this is just a quick edit to give you guys an idea what we're going for here. But now when you start bringing in color grading, you get some purple and your shadows doesn't really look that nice. You can see this looks a bit faded. This is a part of the tire. It's a brown fade, and then here in the darker shadows it's almost like it's clipping. So we're gonna balance it a bit here. I don't want to blow the shadows out too much. And then your highlights, you see there by the trees. So I don't want to touch too much on that. And then obviously the midtones, I always do the midtones last. So we can go left, it makes the image a bit more dull. You go to your right, it makes it more sharp. It's too contrasty, so we're gonna just bring it slightly down and then back up. So now we're gonna do the final, how can I say, effects onto it. But like I've mentioned, we did the lens correction. You can still apply vignetting, but you need to do it slightly on it, and just make sure you apply some feather work to it. So we're going to just add a bit more contrast here, slight shadow pop, blacks up, and then maybe just slight lighter. Okay, so we're just going to go back to the mask quickly. So this gradient here, the mist effect is not that much like I wanted to, so I'm just maybe going to add a bit more and just bring it slightly down. But it looks now at the moment a bit overexposed here, and you don't want that because you can see the trees doesn't look natural. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the exposure back to 0, maybe the clarity back up, because you see if you do that it's too misty, it's too hazy, and it's not going to work. And then maybe just bring that slightly that way, and maybe just a bit of yellow because the sun has been coming through on this side, but you also don't want to bring in too much yellow. So we just bring that slightly up, and a bit of red, maybe green, no, maybe a bit of red, until we have our final image. I'm just going to bring the exposure slightly up, more of that in detail. So that is the final image result that you have. You can see on here a lot of work has gone into it. A lot of people, sorry, the dog is going on here. A lot of work has gone into it from that to that. Some people might say it's not that much of a difference, but it's almost a difference. So if you can just maybe look at the secondary mask that we applied here, just to darken it a bit more, to bring more focus onto the car. And there, maybe I must just do that. And that is your final image. So maybe I can just bring it back to, if I just click reset, that's how it looked like, and that is how it looks now. I'm just going to stick with one image due to the fact that it is taking a lot of time, and I don't think a lot of people like looking through such long videos. I'll do some more in future. I have been asked to do some video editing tutorials. However, I do not feel comfortable in doing video editing tutorials yet because I am still quite new to video. Maybe later in this year I'll do some video tutorials if I get to a better stage. Also, myself and Jason Geduld is busy shooting a short film, and that unfortunately has been taking up the most of my time. So the content is going to come in drips and drabs this coming weeks, but our main focus is going to be on the video that we're currently busy with. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. It's something different. It's not something that has been done really in the Cape Town car scene before, But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Cheers.